Did you know for WarGames, the studio had the Galaxian and Galaga arcade machines delivered to Matthew Broderick's home? He practiced for 2 months to prepare for the arcade scene. 2. The NORAD command center built for the movie cost $1 million, making it the most expensive set ever constructed at the time. The producers were not allowed into the actual NORAD command center, so they had to imagine what it was like. Director John Badham notes that the actual NORAD command center isn't nearly as elaborate as the one in the movie, calling the set NORAD's wet dream of itself. 3. The release of this film resulted in a substantial spike in interest in computer hacking and a commensurate increase in actual penetration of computer systems. As a result, the industry was forced to make several seemingly obvious changes, like creating accounts with default rather than no password on newly installed systems. This is because prior to the film's release, it was just assumed most computer systems would only be accessed by authorized persons, and the odds of someone breaking in was felt to be vanishingly low, except for high-value systems such as banks or the military. Did you know for Footloose, Kevin Bacon admitted that he actually has tipped DJs at weddings not to play Footloose? He stated that people expect him to dance to the song as he did in the movie. In truth, while he did do some of the dancing, there was also a dancing double for him. 2. Kevin Bacon was offered the leading role for the Stephen King movie Christine at the same time that he was asked to do a screen test for Footloose. The producers had to convince Bacon that turning down a sure role in Christine for a part he might not even get in Footloose was the wiser choice. The producers told him that if he got the part for Footloose, the role would make him a star. 30 seconds into the screen test, Bacon was offered the part. And then, he had to fight to keep it because producer Sherry Lansing said he wasn't sexy enough to headline a youth-oriented movie like this. It took Herbert Ross weeks of pleading with her that he was sexy, and it took various new screen tests to change her mind. But it did work, and the rest is history. 3. The scenes where Chris Penn's character had to learn how to dance were added to the script because Penn really could not dance. Did you know for A Bug's Life, P.T. Flea is Pixar legend John Ratzenberger's favorite Pixar role, because in real life I always get a kick out of those kinds of characters, people who just go into a rage for no explicable reason. He was always on edge. His blood pressure was always way over the top, and everything that he did was done in a panicked state. So it was a lot of fun to play him. 2. Editor Lee Unkrich revealed they considered calling the film Bug Story, but coming on the heels of Toy Story, they were worried that people would expect Pixar to use the blank story naming convention for all their films. 3. A similar film called Ants was released a month before this one. One of the producers for Ants was Jeffrey Katzenberg, who used to work for Disney but left after some disputes. 4. The casting of Hopper proved problematic. John Lasseter's top choice was Robert De Niro, who repeatedly turned the part down, as did a succession of other actors. Kevin Spacey met John Lasseter at the 68th Academy Awards ceremony, and Lasseter asked Spacey if he would be interested in doing the voice of Hopper. Spacey was delighted and signed on immediately. Did you know for Coach Carter, when Ken Carter was asked who should play him in the movie, he wrote down one name, Samuel L. Jackson. The real Ken Carter was on set every day as a consultant. He said that Samuel L. Jackson's portrayal of him is 98.5% accurate. 2. The actors had to go through a rigorous 3-week basketball camp before this movie was shot. The actors ended up training for up to 12 hours a day. They had to learn about 70 plays. The plays had a lot of passes and picks to emphasize the theme of teamwork. 3. This was the feature film debut of Channing Tatum. He had never played basketball before making this movie. He had individual training with the coaches to get up to speed with the other actors. 4. The filmmakers shot the game scenes over and over from many different angles. The actors had to run a single play over 100 times to get these shots. 5. Samuel L. Jackson says he liked Kira's storyline because it shows that having a baby is a big responsibility. This was to disprove the notion that a baby is not going to be a little doll like a lot of girls think. Did you know for Star Wars Revenge of the Sith, Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen trained for 2 months in fencing and fitness in preparation for their epic battle? As a result of their practice, the speed at which Kenobi and Vader engaged the duel in the completed movie is the speed in which it was filmed, and was not digitally accelerated. 2. The original cut of this movie ran nearly 4 hours. The opening battle and the Palpatine rescue alone ran over an hour. The extra footage of the Palpatine rescue scene is shown in the video game for this movie, however. 3. George Lucas allowed his friend Steven Spielberg to help design some sequences during pre-production. This was partly because Spielberg wanted the experience of using the pre-visualization techniques pioneered by Industrial Light and Magic, as he was going to use them for War of the Worlds. It was also because Lucas felt that his roles as writer, director, executive producer, and financier were taking up too much of his time, and he needed another director to bounce ideas off. Spielberg's main contribution was in the climactic lightsaber duel between Obi-Wan and Anakin. Did you know for Southpaw, Eminem was originally scouted for the role, which he accepted and started filming. The film had to be put on hold as Eminem wanted to focus on his music career, so the role was then given to Jake Gyllenhaal. 2. The film was originally considered as an unofficial follow-up to the movie 8 Mile, with Eminem reprising his role. The script eventually evolved and that idea was scrapped. 3. Antoine Fuqua had no money to pay James Horner to compose the film, due to the film's short budget. However, Horner did not care as he loved the idea of the film, and he decided to do it for free. 4. The song that plays at the end of this film, Wise Man by Frank Ocean, was originally written to be in Django Unchained. Quentin Tarantino wasn't able to find a scene to place the song in, so it was eventually scrapped from the final cut. 5. Southpaw is the term given to unorthodox stance boxers. However, Jake Gyllenhaal is right-handed, therefore orthodox. He only adopts the southpaw stance in the final fight under instruction from his trainer, Tick. Did you know for Venom, Tom Hardy's son Louis Thomas Hardy is a fan of Venom, and Hardy took the role to please him. I wanted to do something my son could watch, so I did something where I bite people's heads off. Louis also guided his father on how to appropriately portray Venom, since Hardy didn't know the character very well. 2. Tom Hardy recorded his lines for the Venom symbiote during pre-production, and they were played back to the actor through an earpiece on set during scenes where Brock and the symbiote talked to each other. 3. The restaurant scene was shot once with the live lobsters and once with the fake lobsters. The lobster that Tom Hardy bites into was actually candy shell-coated marshmallow filling with chocolate syrup. The glass tank wasn't exactly designed to support the weight of the ripped actor, but Tom said, "Yeah, you guys gotta figure this out, but Eddie's going in the tank," says Fleischer. And so quickly, the crew built a water tank that could also support the star. The resulting scene was shot twice, first with real lobsters, and then with fake ones. 4. Tom Hardy cites singer James Brown as an influence on Venom's voice. Did you know for The Expendables, Sylvester Stallone sustained 14 injuries making this movie, including breaking a tooth, rupturing his ankle, and getting a hairline fracture in his neck that required the surgical insertion of a metal plate. He also had bronchitis and shingles during the shoot. He later said he never fully recovered from the injuries. "It did such a number on my body. I've never been the same. Never." 2. The role of Mr. Church, the man who hires the Expendables, was very difficult to cast. It was initially offered to Arnold Schwarzenegger, who declined in favor of a smaller cameo due to his political career. The role was then offered to Kurt Russell, who declined as he was not interested in ensemble acting at the moment. Sylvester Stallone spent several months after principal photography, determined to find a big action name for the part. The role was finally taken by Stallone's friend and fellow former Planet Hollywood co-owner Bruce Willis, who was busy filming Cop Out at the time. 3. Mickey Rourke split filming his scenes with his appearance in Iron Man 2. He was only available for 48 hours.